YouTubers, family and friends, welcome again to the channel. I'm here at my home in northwestern Mindanao, and I want to talk about a subject that's pretty deep, but it's pretty important of what you're trying to decide in your life, or what you should do in your retirement, mostly for retirement people, or just a general knowledge of what's going on in the crazy world we're living in today. I live in the Philippines, way in a remote jungle of northwestern Mindanao, the very southern island. It's the place I built here over the last 10 years. I retired at age 55, married a Filipina, had a child with a Filipina, built this place. My pool's empty right now because it's wet season and it's too hard to take care of my pool during the wet season. There's so much rain. But that's what I've done with my life. And why did I leave the US to come to the Philippines? I've mentioned a lot of this stuff, some of the basic stuff on some of my other videos on my channel. You're welcome to check it out. Appreciate it for a subscription and a thumbs up. Appreciate that, guys. And the main thing I want to talk about is, who runs the world? What's going on? This craziness that's going on throughout the world. People can't even hardly make a living anymore because everything's so high. Inflation's price is so high, taxes are so high. And I seen this coming 10 years ago and decided to sell everything in the US I owned and come to the Philippines. Why did I do that? Well, two reasons. I knew that this was going to eventually come. You could see it coming. I mean, it's a slow moving train wreck from all the trillions of dollars of debt in the world. It's a slow moving train wreck. You could see it coming. So, and especially in the US, where all this stuff is required that you pay. Yes, the wages are higher than other places of the world, but why do you want to pay all those high mandatory expenses like insurance and all these licenses and taxes and requirements, and everything is so high in the US. So I seen that coming, so I sold everything, moved to the Philippines, where I have zero insurance of any kind because nothing is mandatory here. I pay very little, tiny bit of taxes in the way of property taxes. I pay no other taxes, nothing. And the second reason, probably the most important for you to survive and to hold on to your future wealth, your future family, and so it's all not destroyed by what's going on in the world and the world system, is your marriage. Without your marriage surviving, you will be destroyed continually, where you will have nothing as a man. So in the Philippines, there is no divorce for your marriage ever to be destroyed. And the only way you can ever get out of your marriage here is if you file annulment, which both people would have to sign, or abandonment. So the only way in an abandonment, you're always still married. So, and as a U.S. American national, leaving the United States, moving to the Philippines, yes, as still a U.S. national, can still file divorce against your Filipino in the Philippines by then going back to the U.S. and filing for divorce against her there. But if you're a true and honest and good man that will never, no matter what happens, ever get divorced, and want to hold on to your marriage until death, and you have the will and the means to do so, then that will never happen, right? So that's why I'm here in the Philippines. And so once you're here in the Philippines, You get married to a Filipina, you have children with a Filipina, you're building your empire, or your castle, or your estate, or whatever you want to call it, and building your family, and having children and trying to build a future for your family here in the Philippines in your retirement years. Yes, you can work in the U.S. and some jobs, like I worked a job most of my life where you have 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and I did that for like 3 years before I retired. Come here for about 10 days, and fly back to the U.S. and then work. And you can do that in your younger years too, and that's all fine and well. It's just a lot of traveling, but you can make good money there, come here, pay nothing as far as insurance and taxes and all that stuff, guys. So that's what you got to be watching for, and we can go down a lot of rabbit holes, and hopefully most of you understand what being red pilled is. And if you're not red pilled, that means you took the blue pill, which blue pill is believing everything that the world system is telling you that you should and shouldn't do. That's a blue pill. A red pill is discovering the truth about the world system and the world corruption and how it's totally against you, and you're only going to lose unless you become corrupt yourself. And that's the red pill. If you've been red pilled, you know the truth. You can't unsee the truth anymore and go back to the blue pill unless your heart is truly corrupt also. So once you know the truth and you're red pilled, what do you want to do? You want to get out of the system, completely get out of the system in all way, shape, or form. And the only way you can do that is to and build your family and your estate in the Philippines is put all your money into 3 different things: Bitcoin, gold, and silver. And then to some extent land also. And by doing that, of course you got to use currency only to pay your monthly expenses, and put as much of that currency as you possibly can into those wealth building savings or products called Bitcoin, gold, silver, and land. And once you acquire those 4 things, don't ever sell them. Always have an income or cash flow coming in to be able to pay for your monthly expenses, utilities, or whatever it is. And we have very little utilities here. I have a small water bill, which I choose to pay, which I don't have to because I have a water well also. And then eventually someday I might totally go on to my water well. I just have to do a little bit of engineering to figure that out. But that should be no problem. And then as far as electricity goes, my electricity bill is under $100 a month, and the reason why it's like that is because I have solar, and I can add to my solar system to get my bill down to 0 if I so choose, and I'll probably do that here in the next couple years. But you need a certain cash flow. Like now I'm on Social Security, so I'm finally receiving a Social Security, where when I retired at age 55, I just lived off of savings, and it got where I miscalculated and spent a lot of the wealth I had in savings of gold to pay for and complete all the land that we purchased here and all the buildings that I've built here. And we have one small business. It's just a sorry store. It doesn't really make any money per month. It does a little bit for my wife, and she takes care of that. But the main key is to try to get a monthly cash flow going, and many different sources of cash flow. So not only Social Security, if you can get your Filipino wife to get into other cash flows here, like laundry business or a store, a restaurant, anything that you can generate a rental property. Rental properties work good, but here in the Philippines, especially in the rural areas, your chance of making money on that kind of stuff is pretty low. So what you have to do is build things very, very, very cheaply, provide a good solid product for the people that have very little money here in order to spend on and get you the cash flow you need. So boarding houses are real big, but that's mostly by universities, because there's a lot of, basically the Filipinos, their children go to colleges, and that's a very important thing in the Filipino culture here. But also they need a place to live, and if you can provide a real good place to live that's cheap for them and easy, if you can, because a lot of Filipinos in the rural areas, they haul their water, they still use fire for cooking, like wood fire, and they haul their water from a distance, they have to carry it in jugs, and so if you can provide an easier life for them at something they can afford, then you'll do well. So that's your premise of what you're trying to accomplish, right? I mean, all these retirees that have advice of, oh, come to the Philippines, come to Southeast Asia, the living's cheap and blah, 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 but don't ever put roots down, just rent and move around and stuff. Well, I'm telling you right now, if you guys have ever done that in your life, up to this point, and if you've moved around in your life, you don't want to keep moving around. You want to find a place for whatever reason that is. And the reason I choose the Philippines is because no divorce, English-speaking country, prices are fairly cheap. There's other countries in Southeast Asia that they are cheaper, but also where I live in the Philippines is 7,000 plus islands, and it's secure, meaning it's in a place where it's remote. So if wars break out, disease breaks out, riots break out, anything, I'm separated by thousands of other islands, and my family don't become affected by it. Why? Because the ocean separates all that stuff, guys. And you have to be smart if you're going to do that. Choose a place where there's not active volcanoes, where there's not active fault lines for earthquakes. Choose places where your typhoons aren't constantly hitting and you have a risk of being flooded out or wiped out by typhoons. And I've chosen a place here in northwestern Mindanao is just like that. We rarely ever, since the 10 years I've been here, we've never gotten a typhoon once. Yeah, why? We're on the leeward side of the island, on the west side, northwest, which everything that comes in typhoons are always hitting the eastern shores. They come from the Pacific and hit the eastern shores of all the islands in the Philippines. Sometimes, very rare, they'll come out in the middle of the Philippine islands and raise hell. But that's very rare, but it does sometimes happen. And we've never received one that's happened, that's come out of the center of the Philippines that has ever hit us. Yeah, we'll get tropical storms, stuff like that, but nothing serious. So you really got to pick your spot well. Then the next thing is, once you've established yourself in a good place that's safe, secure in many, many reasons, then you can start building up your preps. You have food storage, water storage, ability to cook. So you need fuel stocks, and the fuel that I like to stock is propane, because it never becomes contaminated with water, because it's very humid in the Philippines. So propane is the number one choice for me for ability for any kind of a fire, for cooking mostly. And then for your electricity, you want to have solar. So I have that too. Then next is, once you've done all that, you have to understand the world and how it works, right? And this is the reason why you got to stock for your future wealth, generational wealth for your family, in Bitcoin, gold, silver, and land. And like I say, once you acquire those things, only in absolute, complete emergency situations would you ever sell those things. And make sure that when you die and hand that stuff off to your family, that you have it locked up so they can never sell it. Maybe so they can gain an interest off of it, or maybe a small 5% loan off of it, or something like that. But you have to lock it up in a trust and make sure that it's never to be sold. And you can put any kind of language you want in your trust to make sure that with the cash flow that they have through their job in the future, or investments of cash flow like rental properties and all this other stuff that provides them the money they need to live in their daily lives, that they keep taking some of that and saving it and buying more wealth products, land, gold, silver, Bitcoin. Okay, that's the future, and that's the only way that you can be non-compliant to the world system. That's the only way that you can be have a true wealth for you and your descendants for the future. Never sell them. Accumulate them and never sell them. That's the only way. And don't ever loan against them, because then what they will do is they'll ramp the price way up to the moon, then they'll crash it, and then all the people that made loans against it will all get wiped out, and then they'll acquire those assets, the gold, the silver, the land, the Bitcoin. That's what they're doing right now with Bitcoin. They've done it with gold in the past. They've confiscated, in the US, they confiscated gold in the 30s after the Depression. This is all by design, guys. This is the way the system works. And the system is called Proof of Weapons Network. That's the Western system and how it's designed. Under the Proof of Weapons Network, there's like 4 or 5 entities that make up the Proof of Weapons Network. And where I got this was from some of my research, and that's what you always got to do, guys, throughout your entire life, to know the truth of what's going on in the world and how to make your family survive the future, is research, dig on every spectrum. So whatever you think your beliefs are right now, look at all sides of the coin. Look at what everyone is saying. Left, right, center, history, what history is proven, and all accounts of history. You have to look at everything to be able to find the real truth, guys. So, Proof of Weapons Network. That's 4 entities, biggest one being BlackRock. Massive corporation, hundreds and hundreds of billions, I think actually in the trillions now, under BlackRock control. They're a massive financial institution. Look at all this stuff up yourself, guys, and all this stuff is my own opinion and what I think the world is doing and what I do. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you sharing with you my accounts of what I do and what I believe. The next one after BlackRock is Vanguard, then State Street, and what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. There's 3 or 4, maybe even 5, but those are the big boys that have the most money under management, right, guys? Then underneath this Proof of Weapons Network, and the reason why you call it that is because all this massive money is what buys politicians, buys sovereign wealth funds, buys governments throughout the world. They are the power in the world. The richest entities in the world are the ones with the biggest power that control governments, control systems, control agencies, control everything, guys. At one time, I thought it was all the central banks. Well, the central banks is part of the financial weapons, proof of financial weapons network. They're the ones that are all the banks, the big banks of the world, right? Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, UBS, USBC. I mean, they're all over the world, guys, right? These big, massive banks. They're all part of the, and then this is the West I'm talking about. Western countries, Europe, all North America, Japan, all these, South Korea, all these. And then the other side of that whole control coin is the sovereign nations of the world, which have united together in an organization called BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they've had a lot of other member countries now that have joined in with them. Saudi Arabia, UAE, a lot of other countries throughout the world have now joined the BRICS. So you got this paradigm of two separate powers in the world. And that is the reason why the whole world is being reorganized right now into regions, financial regions. And there's going to be I think 4 to 6 financial regions of the world. And there's a chainsaw, yay. And that's what you get when you're out in the jungle of the Philippines. So anyways, these two paradigms is what is controlling the world. And on the BRIC side, they're just as bad as the West. The only thing I like about the BRICS is that they're sovereign nations, right? In the West, the governments of the West are controlled by these massive, big financial entities, right? Oh, it looks like they just dropped a big tree. Yeah, they dropped a big tree over there. So all these big financial banking systems of the West are now they control the governments of the U.S. and the Europe and all that. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to turn on these lights here. Okay. I'm trying to come in here to get a little bit better, more quiet in my shop here. So that's what's going on. You got the BRICS nations and you got the Western countries, and the Western countries are controlled by corporations, which is the proof of weapons network. And then underneath the proof of weapons network is the financial complex, military, industrial complex, pharmaceutical complex, the consumer complex. There's 6 or 8 big, massive complexes that all support the proof of weapons network. And all the lobbyists, they control all the lobbyists that control then the politicians and the government. That's what, all the governments of the West. And so it's corporations that control the West, not governments, guys. All what governments do are for the bidding of these corporations. And what do the corporations want? Money and greed. That's all they're about. And the corruption is unbelievable right now throughout the world. You guys have seen it. I mean, God only knows. About everything that is going on right now is corrupt. Scams, Ponzi schemes, corruption from the top down. As much as, it's absolutely rampant. So what's going on right now is that, in my opinion, in the next 12 to 18 months, they're going to crash everything into a depression. And at these levels in the depression, all the prices of it, all the assets are going to go down, way down, probably 75 to 90%. When that happens, all you need to do is keep putting your money in those wealth vehicles, right? Gold, silver, land, and Bitcoin. And just keep every single month, get more than you did the previous month, no matter what you have to do. Keep putting a little bit more, even if it's $100 a month, into each one. So that'd be like $400 a month into each one of those, right? And if it's land, you can't really put much into land, so just put your land money into gold, Bitcoin, and silver, and keep putting in that every single month. You should at a minimum do $500 a month, guys. In my humble opinion, it's just my opinion and what I'm doing. So, I mean, first of all, you got to get out of debt. If you got any debt, you're in the system. Get out of the system. Get all your debt wiped out. And then get in a place where you don't have to pay all these things that are draining you and fleecing you constantly, which is insurances and taxes. Get in a place where you don't have to pay any of that, guys. So that's my humble opinion and advice of what I'm doing for myself. And I'm not telling you guys what to do at all. Just that's what I'm doing. And it's going to get hard. What's coming is going to get really, really, really hard. But that's the way these people, and how do I know this is going to happen? The biggest tell is what's going on right now in the Senate with the Epstein files. You got these people like Nick Fuente, Candace Owens, and Tucker Carlson that millions and millions and millions of people worldwide listen to. And what are they doing? They're putting the hammer coming down on truth on these deep state agencies and putting the light on their corrupt, dark activities, right? So what is that going to do? All these people that are blue-pilled in the world that think that they've been told the truth for the last probably 20 decades or so, or at least the last 5 to 10 decades. You know, it's all been a series and a organized by design deception and lie network of all the controlled state medias and all that, guys. I mean, it's and all the stuff that you're taught in schools, which is all majority of it's propaganda and lies about the truth. Yeah, it's terrible. And it goes deeper than that. It even goes into the religious realm of what I've been told for my whole life of what's true. Turns out most of it's false, guys. The only thing I can say about the religious side of all this, guys, don't believe anything, including what I've been told my whole life. If you don't believe every word in the Bible, you're going to hell. That's one of the biggest lies that there is. Believe and focus in on only what Jesus said in the Bible. Why? Because he warned us several times about a false prophet that's going to deceive even the elect. So majority of Christians. And that false prophet is the so-called Apostle Paul. I've done the research on it, guys. Apostle Paul is the false prophet. Focus only on Jesus Christ's words, not Paul. Get Paul, don't even read Paul. Well, you should, just to compare what Paul says to what Jesus says. What Paul says is not even close in so many topics compared to what Jesus said. So if you want to be saved, listen to Jesus Christ's words. Don't listen to Paul. I'm telling you that, guys, right now. This is what I found out from being deceived almost my entire life. So be very, very cautious of who you're believing and who you're not believing. And right now in my life, in this world, the way it is, I believe in Jesus Christ's words pretty much only. I'll take everything with a grain of salt other than what he says. And the people that recorded his actual words in the Bible. Any other apostle, take it with a grain of salt, guys. But Paul specifically is the false prophet that Jesus many times warned us about. So it's going to turn everything on its head when all this truth comes out, guys. Just like I was telling you guys in videos earlier this year when I had some little bit of faith in Trump. But on my channel, I've been struck 2 times by YouTube, and they've taken down only 2 of my videos. And the first one was about COVID and some of the facts that I knew was facts, and I had it in a video, and they said it was false information, gave me a strike, and took the video down. 3 years later, in 2023, all the stuff I was saying in my video that was struck down, and I was shadow banned on my channel, all was true. It all came out as true. The whole pandemic deal, right, guys? And I hope and I pray you guys understand that whole thing was an operation of what's going to come here now this next couple years, of how they're going to take down the system, and if you're going to comply to what they say or not. That's all a test. So I hope you guys have been red-pilled now to know the truth about what's going on. So the other time that I got a strike was in Butler, the attempt on Trump. I came out and said, in my opinion, now, that was only my opinion, that I thought it was a fake, staged ritual. That was just my opinion, and I was just saying my opinion. So, tubers, there's no facts I'm saying here. It's just my opinion. And as soon as I said that I thought, my opinion thought, that it was a staged, orchestrated, fake attempt, ritual, I was immediately struck and my video was taken down. This was like the day after it happened. So I know the first time they did it to me, later it came out to be true. Now, because of all the stuff with how they eliminated Crooks, the so-called assassin, and all this stuff, and never did any investigation, washed the whole roof where they took him out with a big hose, destroyed all the evidence, and never did any investigation on the entire incident, and all these photos that were perfectly made of Trump with the coming down his side of his face and all that stuff, and how there's a massive photo of that painting in the White House and all this stuff, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a very good discerner of spiritual events in this world, and I can tell, my spirit can tell almost immediately. It's seriously, over the years, I can tell if that person has a truth in them or has a deception in them. And all that, what's going on, is deception big time. And it continued on the election day of Trump. And don't get me wrong, I wanted Trump over Kamala. There's no doubt in my mind. I had lots of high hopes for Trump. But because of that happened in Butler, and then on election day, Biden's wife wore pure red outfit. That means you know that the left and the right were playing on the same side. It was all orchestrated, because red means Republicans, and Biden is blue, and Biden's wife was all red on election day. Then after Trump, the inauguration of Trump this time in 2020 or 2024, what happened? They all on national television throughout the whole world. What did Melania wear? She wore an outfit from a funeral, all black with a white and black, which is also a satanic symbolism, white and black hat. She was so somber, not even smiling, coming into the White House. all that, right? It was all like okay, this is like the funeral of America, the demise of America. Think about that. And that's exactly what's going on now. Ever since 3 to 4 months into Trump's presidency, when he said on national television, "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? He's a nobody. He's been dead for years. Why are you talking about him still?" Trump's not an idiot. He is an actor. He's doing this on purpose, just like Candace, Tucker, Nick Fuente. They're all riling up the people right now. And so is Trump. Trump is doing stuff that you never considered or even thought that he would ever pull. And it completely a 180 against his entire mega base. All of it is orchestrated, guys, to crash us into a depression. It's coming. It just started here in November. And it's the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to get bad. And then what's the solution that they're going to come up with? The solution that they already have planned out? Yeah, it'll be taking a tattoo. And this is all my opinion, guys. None of this may ever happen. It's just my opinion. A tattoo or an ejected chip, something like that, where you won't be able to buy or sell, and the dollar will go away, and it'll all be stable coins in the U.S. and the CBDCs will be in Europe and Japan and other places. But the whole stable coin thing is going to blow up. It's going to get huge, and what they'll do is they'll say, okay, come in and take the chip or get the tattoo, the barcode tattoo on your skin, and we'll give you 100,000, 500,000 stable coin, whatever it's going to be. It's all going to be about money, guys, because the love of money is the root of all evil. That's what's coming. Massive crashing of prices, depression, while all the rich and the powerful buy everything on the cheap, and then especially crypto, because it's all going to digital, into stable coins and to Bitcoin. That's why you have to focus on Bitcoin and gold, guys. You have to focus on it heavily. So in my opinion, I'm sorry this has been a long one, guys, but this has been on my mind the last few days. I'm just saying, protect yourself. Get it in your hands. Get it in your possession. If you're getting Bitcoin, get it in self-custody, which is in a Trezor or one of the cold wallets, guys. Don't leave it on an exchange. Get it in a cold wallet. As soon as you buy some, transfer it to your cold wallet so it can never be touched. And then put that in a Faraday cage. Put all your electronics in it, and redundancy of the electronics you have, put it in a Faraday cage and protect it. Yeah, I could go on and on with this stuff, guys, but this is already such a long video, so I'm sorry about that. And all I can say is I love you guys all. Why? Because Jesus Christ commanded that we love one another. That's why I love you. So take care. Till the next video. Bye-bye for now.